Hi, I'm Mindy McGinnis, author of Not a Drop to Drink, and I have been snowed into my house for 5 days. It's actually more like I've been polar vortexed into my house because there's not a lot of snow on the ground. It's just that it's -10, and I believe the wind chill is -40. So it's not like I'm snowed in. It's like if I go outside, I'll die. So I've been here for 5 days, and I have rewatched all of Sherlock. I painted my toes to coordinate with the cover of my book, which is not like me at all. And I built Big Ben and then attacked it with the spiders of Mirkwood. So I'm pretty bored. And then I remembered that I had opened up my Ask Box on Tumblr and I had quite a few questions and I haven't made a vlog in a while, so I thought now would be a good time to do that. Okay, first question is, hey Mindy, in your book, water witching is like a thing. While writing Not a Drop to Drink, did you ever try to water witch? Great question. I do own dowsing rods. I've never tried to douse myself. There is a fellow around here that used to douse for people. He would find a well for you in exchange for a case of beer, but he died, and so we don't really have anybody to do that anymore. My brother-in-law can do it, and I do own a set of dowsing rods, and I thought it would be really interesting to illustrate that for this vlog, but since going outside will kill you right now, I thought that would be a pretty big favor to ask, so I'm gonna let that one slide. Okay, question number 2. You have materials for educators on your website. Yes, I do. Are your books discussed in classrooms? Is that something you aim for when you write? I promise I didn't ask that question to myself. There are downloadable quiz questions and answers, chapter guides, and discussion prompts on my site that all align with Common Core. It's mindymcginnis.com, and you click on the Educators tab. Is it actually being used? Are people discussing my book in classrooms? I don't know. I certainly hope so. I did not intend for it to be that way, but I am a librarian, and my sister is an English teacher. And I think that, you know, the best books are going to teach you something. Whether you want them to or not, they will. And I think that whether it's a goal or not, it definitely will seep into the story. Next question. What do you consider the most valuable asset provided by the medium of post-apocalyptic settings? And the most interesting stories are post-apocalyptic because of the fact that when you're talking about a post-apoc setting, you are giving people no option other than be the who and what they really are. That comes out in a survival situation. Everything that we care about in our society is gone. And a lot of that is just bullshit. I mean, if we're going to be honest, everything that we care about, your hair and your lipstick and what kind of clothes you wear. Obviously, this is speaking for girls, but there are plenty of things for guys too. I mean, anything that you can mention that is valued in our society, that's all stripped. That's gone. Nobody cares how much you weigh either. Everybody's just happy that you're alive. That's good for you. You're not dead. So that kind of thing really takes away everything that doesn't matter that we care about so much. And it just gets down to who you are, what you believe in, and how you will behave in any given situation, which in the end is in fact your personality, which should be the most important aspect of who you are anyway, but it's not because the world sucks. How do you like to define space versus place? You've done an excellent job of giving Lynn and your readers a clearly defined place. Did that dovetail with your character, or did you set out to make a point of it? Great question. I did set out to make a point of it, for sure. The big thing about Not a Drop to Drink is there aren't many characters because pretty much everybody's dead. So the environment is very much character in the story. In fact, it's a catalyst for the story. If the environment were not what it was, there would be no story. So the sense of place is very prominent in Not a Drop to Drink, as it should be. And the characters are developed by their environment. And in a lot of ways, the environment dictates who they are. Last question, actually. I've always been told great writers are those who never stop reading. Who do you read to keep your creative juices flowing? I read everything. I read a lot. I read all the time. I do agree that reading is absolutely invaluable to a writer, and even reading a bad book is invaluable to a writer, because if you're reading something like, this does not work. There's something about this that sucks. It doesn't work. Figure out what it is, and then don't do that. That is a very, very good lesson to learn. And reading a great book is excellent as well. If you're reading something and it has grabbed you so much that you're not even reading a book anymore, you're entirely lost inside another world that someone else created that doesn't exist, talking to people who have never been and watching them interact with each other, you forget that you're reading a book. And when that happens, when you've hit that point, if you can pull yourself back out of that and get in there and see at what point they accomplished that, and figure out how they did it, that is a really good skill to pick up when you're a reader. It also kind of sucks, though, because you're never ever just reading a book anymore. You're always analyzing everything, and it does hurt a little bit. And you find ways to let yourself go in that. I do try to, when I'm writing, I try to read nonfiction, because I think that if you're an author of fiction and you're reading nonfiction, it's a lot easier to drop that wall down in between the differences of being a reader and being a writer. So I do like to read a lot of nonfiction while I'm writing. I read Mary Roach and I read Eric Larson. Those are two of my favorite nonfiction authors. So a big thank you to everyone who sent me questions. I really appreciate it, especially since I have been alone for 5 days in my house. Two cats, and 2 dogs out here on the tundra. It's been really Jack London out here, actually. Yeah, it's something. Just check out my Twitter feed if you're really bored, because I'm getting, it's not like Red Rum yet, but it's close.